Welcome to another show of Inspirational Journeys. On April 24th, I was blessed to be able to interview a remarkable woman. She is Marisa Boasa. As many of you remember, I interviewed her on this program, and she had an extraordinary story to tell us. She struggles with one of the most aggressive forms of MS, yet she has found ways to self-heal, to improve herself, but more so to help others. A lot of people ask me, what has been of Marisa? What is she doing? How her journey is going? How has she improved? Where she's at this point? And I wanted to bring Marisa back into the show because I think all of you deserve to know where she is in this journey. She's so inspiring, and I am glad to have her here tonight. And she also brings someone that is very special to her MS journey, and it's Mr. Peter Schwartz. And I won't say much. I would allow the cameras and the video to show where Marisa Boasa is right now.
Hi.
Marisa, welcome back to the show.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming back. You know how many people have wrote me on social media and asked me, where's Marisa? How she's doing? You know, so I really had to bring you to the show. And we want to know, what are you up to? You know, I know you're doing tons of things, and you're everywhere. You're helping people. You're helping yourself in ways that are extraordinary. And we want to know from the last show, what has happened?
Well, first and foremost, I'm excited to be back.
Yes.
I love being here. So when I look back at the beginning, and I go all the way to the day one, right? Meet with Dr. Wade, and he says, if you're going to say something, make it count. And honestly, being there to help other people helps me. Mm-hmm. It really does. when I look through, I've had a lot of things happen, right? I've done 2 MS walks, one in Connecticut, one in New York is the sign. I've done 3 races. Out of all 3 races, I placed. 2, I won overall for the challenge athletes. The 3rd one was probably the most heartfelt one, and that was the Achilles race. And in the beginning of the video, there's a woman that's holding a dog, or has a dog with her, I should say, her guide dog. And she was blind. So when I look through this journey, just in the last few months, I've met a lot of amazing people.
You've touched many lives. That's what I see from everything that you're doing and your posts and your comments and how people embrace you and what they say about you. You've touched many lives. You've inspired a lot of people.
Thank you. I look at it as those people have supported my efforts. I always say from day one, if you're battling a physical or a mental mobility issue, that you just need to keep moving forward. And I've even said to you at the beginning, you have one option. Someone says, no, you have 2. I go, no, you have 1. Your option is to move forward. Whether you're faced with a mental or a physical immobility issue, you must move forward. Option to not do anything is not an option. It's failing. And you don't want to fail at your life. Your life is, you get one life and you need to just live the best life.
That's the treasure. And Marisa, for those that didn't have the chance to see the interview that we initially did in April, time has passed so fast. I want them to know, share with us a bit of your story so they understand where you're coming from.
So since April, I have gone to NIH, which is the National Institute of Health Clinic. I was able to get more of a better idea of what I'm dealing with. You know, my brain, I have 10 or more lesions, and that's because it was able to look at it from a different magnetic lens. So they have more of an in-depth look. They looked at my spine, and they see, you know, that it's in and out of my left and right and all over my spine. But there's no atrophy. So the reason why there's no atrophy is I've stayed mobile. And that's why you see me running or in the pool. We see it in the first video, right? Or on the bike. It was so important that when I met with that doctor, Dr. Wickman, that she said to me, you have no atrophy because you've continued to move. And I said to her, well, I'm fighting for my mobility. She said, you continue to fight and do everything you can. Train smart, right? So you have to do, train smart.
So mobility helps you not only to overcome the sensation of the disease that you're going through, but it's actually helping on the healing process.
It is.
How that works?
At the end of the day, if you don't feed your body, right, it's like a car. If you put in diesel in a car that's supposed to have gas, it's not going to run. It's the same thing with your body. If you fuel it with the right types of foods and you do the right types of exercises, you're going to have a positive output.
Your training continues to be the same?
It does, only it's longer. That's Coach Ken. He's still my favorite.
He wants to push you.
He has to, right? Because we've got an end goal. We have Philadelphia. And that's changed since the last time we spoke. That changed for a reason.
And when is it Philadelphia?
November 24th.
November 24th.
Which my mother reminds me she's turning 75 that day. She's probably going to be happy that I said she's turning 75 that day. But that's because the reason why I found out I had MS is I went to UConn in 2018 saying, I want to run Philadelphia. So
I remember you told me.
Yeah, and it makes sense to come full circle now and run Philadelphia in 2019 and close that chapter and say I did it. And I'm already at a certain mileage that I'm getting closer and closer every day. So this last time we spoke, I wasn't at a specific mileage. Now I am.
And what's your mileage right now?
I'm at 12 miles.
12
so
miles.
I'm set to do 13 miles soon.
That's a long run.
It is, considering I don't just have foot drop. I found out last Monday I have leg drop or drop leg. So from
what's the difference?
From the hip to my feet, I'm in paralysis after a period of time. What happens is the leg fatigues. And at that point, I have the trekking poles. So the trekking poles, I used to say they're another set of arms. No, the trekking poles are like another set of legs and arms. So they keep me forward.
And on your run of June 2nd,
Yes.
Tell me about Fernanda
Fernanda.
and your friends.
The Vos. So the trekking poles actually got named Bo Fernanda. What happened was I was at about 2.8 miles, and the heat took over. I only had one AFO instead of two, and my legs started to fatigue, and I couldn't move them. So all of a sudden I see Fernanda, and she said, "Hey, girl." And I said, "Hi." She's like, "You need some help?" I go, "I kind of need another hand." She took my hand. Then Eric Bo, who used to work for Fleet Feet, I met him. I said, "Eric, I'm gonna need another hand." And he has a wife that's like having a baby. Well, she's 4 months pregnant at the time. I grabbed her hand, and then he grabbed her hand, and there's some serious power in support in the running in a race. When you see that, you're like, "This is why I do it." I had my soul sister Fernanda, my new soul sister Megan Bo, and my soul brother Eric, and we got to that finish line. And I didn't know how well I did until about 2 months later. Eric said, "By the way, did you know you placed overall challenged athlete?" I'm like, "I did? What did I win?"
So you were surprised?
I was surprised because I still go back and I think of my speed and how I ran. My former coach, who is one of my dearest friends, Allie, she said, "Moving is a pace." That was so vital. Don't look back that you did a 22 or 24-minute pace, not pace, a 5K in 22 minutes, or you had a 6-minute pace or 7-minute pace. Moving is a pace. Own it. And so I say, you know what? I'm moving. That's my pace. Yeah.
So that was a pivotal moment, as you said earlier.
It was. And even my coach after my first race said, "Mo," my nickname's Mo, he said, "Mo, in October, you were running in a harness on a treadmill, strapped, and you're running free on the road. That's pretty awesome." And I forget those days. I forget being strapped into a harness.
You spoke on your video, on your last video, the one of June 2nd. You said that when you were starting the race, there was so many emotions going through you, fears and anxiety and uncertainty. Can you tell us more about that?
It's very surreal because I hadn't been back there since 2012. And I look around and I see runners. And I felt like when I wasn't running, I kind of lost that identity. Because I used to be known as a runner. And now I'm back on that start line and I'm running. It was different. It was scary. But I said, "Well, you're here because you have a goal. So get on that start line and move." And of course my watch, I'm like, new watch, and I'm wearing. But I can't tell you the energy. I had runners going like this to me. I had people cheering. When I started going, it's true, I said MS does not mean stop. And I told Eric and Megan and Fernanda, I'm like, we need to say MS does not mean. We charge that finish line and we're saying it. People cheering us on are saying that. That could be a lot of things. This doesn't mean stop.
You are participating in many support systems.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So there's a lot of support systems in my life that I'm a part of, right? So from a professional level, I'm a part of a program called the READY program, and that is in conjunction with the National Organization of Disability. So that's something that I'm very much happy to be a part of. Then you have the MS Society, right? So I get to be on the council, and that's another area of support. Hanger Clinic, always and forever, people that help me be fitted in the right races. So those are some key areas that stand out to me.
You should be proud of.
I would never have met any of them if it wasn't for this, right? That's when you have to take something that changes you and you look at it to motivate you to do something.
And you're motivating not only yourself, but you're motivating so many people to overcome their own challenges. Like you said, physical, emotional, whatever it is. They see in you a spokesperson. They see someone that is given the face of what a challenge means, and look what I'm doing. So that's and you're using social media in such a constructive way. It's so resourceful the way you are using it for the purpose of helping others.
I feel at the end of the day, if you can help one person, then, and I saw that. So if we can fast forward to the Achilles race.
Sure.
It was hot. It was 97 degrees. I'm wearing an ice vest, and the ice vest is melted after mile 2. Unfortunately, I had my friend Ray Charpentier who had an ice bucket, and I'm literally dumping the ice bucket. But I saw Liz Botner. I saw this runner, and I saw two people who were holding her, like they were kind of guiding her. Mm-hmm. And I had met her before the race, and she was blind. She is blind. Mm-hmm. And I stopped, and I just stared. I thought, wow. And I give chills right now. It was a level of inspiration. And I went up to her after the race. I said, you inspired me. And she said, I just ran. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel. People are like, Marisa, you inspire me. I'm like, I just ran. Mm-hmm. And I'm running with her Labor Day weekend. I'm gonna be her guide. I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be your guide. I apologize in advance. I wouldn't have met her that day. I probably wouldn't have. I don't know why, but when you're in a situation of mobility, you have a heightened sense, and you seek out people that are warriors like yourself. And there are people that, when you're going through something, that stay a part of that tribe. And there are some that don't. And that's just life.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that has changed from the last time that we met from the standpoint of treatment?
So the Ocrevus treatments will continue. My next one is in November. But my fatigue has gotten worse. So I take what's called Provigil. It's actually a drug that they treat for narcolepsy. And generally they give you one a day, 200 milligrams. I'm on twice a day. I actually take 2 of them before a run. I take Pyra, which helps me with my gait. So my medications have changed because this is a progressive disease. And so when I was at NIH, they recommended that. I'm going to be getting Botox in my legs. I'd like to get Botox here, but I'm going to get Botox in my legs for muscle spasticity. And I actually might have said, like, can I have some? But yeah.
Is there any liquid left?
I know. I'm like, is there a little bit left? He's going to be like, no. But there's a thing. So I have these Charlie horses that are in my legs all the time. And it got to the point where I could roll it out. I could go to Massage Envy and get a massage, or I couldn't get the Charlie horse to go away. And they said, you need Botox in your legs to help with muscle spasticity.
Interesting.
So I'm going to get it in my calves, my hamstrings. I'm not going to get any in my face, but and the insurance covers it. Okay. But so treatments have changed because MS is a progressive disease, and you have to always stay ahead of it to combat it.
Sure. And are you still swimming?
Oh, yeah. I'm like a fish. I love swimming. I love being in the water. And now my coach still has me doing the aqua jogging in the pool, but I like what he says, ladies' choice. So if I want to swim, I can swim. If I want to jog, I can jog. And it's so freeing. Because I never have to worry about leg drop or foot drop when I'm in the pool.
It feels good.
It feels really good.
And what's next in your journey?
Oh, wow.
I know there's plenty.
I'm doing a 15K trail run, next week. I'm excited. I have trekking poles, so I should be fine in the trail. I'm going to be on a podcast next week.
That's good.
It's going to be a podcast for the National Organization of Disability. So I'm getting flown out by my company to Atlanta, and I'll be discussing as a leader, as an employee, how I am managing my illness. You know, just because someone has a disability does not mean they are limited. They might be physically limited.
But they're still productive.
They're still productive.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then in September, not only do I have additional races, I'm going to be in Florida running, which I'm like, I need 2 ice vests. Didn't think that one through. But I'll be with family in Florida. I'm excited about that, but I also get to go to a National Organization Disability Awards ceremony.
That's fantastic.
Those are probably the events I'm looking forward to most because, again, it's paying it forward.
Sure. And I know you talk a lot about paying it forward.
Yes.
And how that just gives you so much joy.
It does.
And we have here someone that you came with, someone very special. Mr. Peter Swartz.
Very
nice
good.
having you on the show.
Thank
you
for
so
having me.
much for coming.
Appreciate it.
So, Peter, talk to us about you. Who are you?
About myself, well, father of 2, married happily, a retired naval commander, drove ships. Had MS since 2004, transverse myelitis, which is another disease.
Okay.
Kind of related. It's all neurological, and basically the myelin or the coating of the nerves are eaten away. So it was a life change. I went from being, working, great job, loved it, and over the course of a week, I had so much pain, they admitted me to the hospital for 10, 12 weeks, and wheelchair, the whole bit, and so it was a life change. I have cognitive issues. We all have MS, but we all have different issues with the MS. So it's been an interesting journey. I've just changed what I'm able to do. I can't implement things, but I still have ideas. I'm still a human being who likes to give and help others. And I was lucky enough to meet Marisa at the Mandel MS Center when I was in for one of my appointments, PT, I'm sure, because I go like 2-3 times a week. And it was interesting because she was one of the first people I've met. There's been many, but she was one of the first locally that I've met who was just really positive about things. And she was not even a full year into this. And I'm thinking to myself, this is so much different than most of the support groups I've gone to where everyone's negative, and I just stopped going because I don't like to be around negative people. Depression's part of MS, and I have no problem saying that I give myself whatever I need to as far as time to deal with that. It's not easy, but what in life is.
Yes.
So I invited her to be part of one of the councils that I chair with the MS Society. She mentioned that briefly earlier, state of Connecticut. And we co-captained a walk team together out in East Hartford, and we did well. I don't remember many of the numbers, but she certainly does.
We did close to 10,000. And he actually was number one. He actually had the number one. He did a lot of...
That's amazing.
She split hers between New York and Hartford.
I did.
But,
I did New York the next day, which was awesome.
I was proud. I'm blessed. I've got a lot of really neat friends and family who support me in all this in the best way that they can. And it makes you feel good, like you said, helping others. That's what this is about. Life's a journey. We all have maladies. We all have situations we have to deal with that we didn't ask for. And I have always felt that it's how you deal with things. And I'm not always good at dealing with adversity and whatnot. And I'm a typical guy that way. I have no problem saying that. But in the end, I'm blessed to have the support system that I have from my family, my wife, my family, my medical team. The NIH thing came up, and it was really neat. I was able to share that with Marisa and also another close friend of ours, Ray, and he's going to be going in a couple months. I go back. I've already been there once. I'll go back in another few months, and they've been outstanding. That helped me deal with so much because it answered so many questions over the last, I don't know how many years, 13, 14 years that I've had. With the equipment there, they see more lesions. You had mentioned earlier 10 lesions or more. I too have that, but up until then, 6 months ago, I thought I had 3 lesions because the equipment we have didn't see the lesions inside my brain.
So depending on the treatment, depending on the insurance, all those are factors to determine how the diagnosis is evaluated?
Well, that's all part of it, definitely. There's a lot of people who do not have insurance, or they can't afford good insurance. And we run across those people on a daily basis. That's another story, another topic for another show. You could fill up a couple-hour show on that. It's difficult seeing. And that's why raising the money that we raise for research, we know for a fact, because we're part of NIH, we're part of this, we're part of that study. And these studies are helping forward the progress of treatment for not just the symptoms, but hopefully some of the things that are causing the root causes.
Sure.
And it's really exciting because we know that every dollar we raise is going to help other people. And we're touching lives, and that's what life's about. Like you say, pay it forward. You can give it whatever moniker or tag you want. But in the end, I remember when the doctor came in, I was in the hospital, heavily doped up on liquid morphine, and the pain was it was dramatic, and my life was just spinning. And the doctor came in and said, well, you've got this, yada, yada. He's very cold about it. And that's why I have Peter Wade as my doctor now, and I don't have him. But I sat there and I cried for a minute or two with my wife, and I just looked at it. I'll never forget. And my wife's like ultra positive. That's just how Brenda is. And I just looked at her. I said, everything happens for a reason. I said, I guess we got to find out what the reason is. And now here I am, you know, how many years forward. And I think the reason is because I have always had a network. It's just who I've been. And I'm able to share my network with my buddy Ray so he can do his stuff to help progress the treatment of MS. I share with Marisa so she can help take some of my network and get to NIH and do good things, to get to, you know, Mandel MS Center and do good things, to get to the MS Society and do incredible things. And we're just starting.
Yes.
We're scratching the surface.
So what would you say is the advice you would give someone going through a tough challenge?
If you're able to buddy up and find somebody who's positive, and not going to sit there and cry and complain, that person doesn't even have to have MS. I have found out, and if you ask most of us who are afflicted with something, and it doesn't have to even be the same affliction. We do understand each other better because you are living it. You can feel it, and not everyone can.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you're able to buddy up, if you can, even if it's on the internet, a lot of friends of mine, they can't leave their bed. They can't leave their house. We all know people like that, no matter MS or any disability. But thank God we do have social media, and you can find places to go anywhere, online or in person, where you can discuss things. We all have issues, personal issues. Some of them are deeply personal issues. And sometimes if you're behind a keyboard, it's easier to discuss those things with other people.
It makes you feel more comfortable. Some
It
people
does.
feel
It
very
does.
Great way to
comfortable
put it.
behind a computer because it just gives you that sense that you can be yourself and you're not being judged.
No.
I think one of the hardest things when you're having a difficulty is that you feel people are looking at you and judging you for what you're feeling or what's your reaction to the situation. And, you know, I love your advice.
Yeah.
I was thinking of buddying up. Somebody should buddy up with me at Hartford. What are you doing? What are you doing October 12th?
I have it on the calendar already. We'll be together that day.
Yes, because if I'm running a half marathon, you know.
Yes.
I mean, there's a 5K.
Yes.
Just saying.
Maybe you'll run more than me.
Well, I'm running a half marathon. If you show up, I'll share my post race bagel with you. But I want to say one thing. Did you know I'm reuniting with the UConn doctors that diagnosed me?
No.
Okay, mid-August, I'm meeting with Dr. Corey Edgar, Dr. Alessi, Anthony Alessi, and Dr. Matthew Hall, and we are reuniting. So they have seen how far their patient has come. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Who came up with the idea?
I called and I said, can I have a reunion? And they said, you got it.
Great. Great.
So, but I like what Peter said. You've got to buddy up. You really have to stay out of that box and really encourage each other.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's been a pleasure having you both. I always love to have Marisa on the show. You're, again, inspiring. People look up to you. We certainly want to know where you are. What are you doing? I will always keep up with you. I'll try to keep up with everything that you're doing. I'm sure you're going to have a book some point in the future.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. You never know with FFM. You never know.
And Peter, it was so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you, and I wish you both the very best. We certainly will keep in touch and want to know what's going on.
Awesome. We will.
Well, audience, it has been a wonderful evening. As you know, Inspirational Journeys is all about highlighting people that have remarkable stories and that bring themselves, their spirit, into overcoming a challenge. Thank you so much. And if you have a story that you believe is remarkable and you want to share with Inspirational Journeys, please write us at cnsungmail.com. Thank you so much.